including the Colorado Children's Campaign, which those of you from Colorado know is just a fabulous organization, as well as Girls Inc. She's also served as a PTA president and co-chair of the Denver Public Schools Advisory Committee on Immigration and Integration. Janet Lopez is a senior program officer at the Rose Community Foundation. She directs the education program area, which seeks to eliminate achievement gaps and create equitable opportunities for all children to achieve academic success. Prior to joining the Rose Community Foundation, she served as the director of P through 20 education initiatives at the University of Colorado in Denver. In that role, she supported Denver's Mayor Michael Hancock as the interim director of the Denver Education Compact. She also served as the deputy director of former Colorado Governor's Bill Ritter's Education P through 20 Education Coordinating Council. And last but not least, Robin Lake is director of the Center on Reinventing Public Education. Most of you know CERPI, as they call themselves, which is a nonpartisan research and policy analysis organization. Robin does exemplary work around public school choice, charter schools, innovation, school governance, portfolio management, effective state and local public oversight practices. I will confess now that she's my favorite wonk in this field. That's true. She's authored so many different useful reports and study that folk can really use in the work they're doing. I mean, they really take information and data and translate it in a way that's usable for stakeholders and folks involved in changing schools. Just released a report yesterday on public school choice in 18 urban school districts in the United States. Read it. Public school choice in urban school districts is the new normal. And they'll tell you, successes and challenges. But that's a great report. She's also serves on a lot of organizations, some academic, including the Journal of School Choice, as well as on the Board of Education Next and the National Association of Charter School Authorizers. So those are my 5 minutes. I'll turn it over to Chris for an overview, and then we'll pick it up with the panel.
Great. Thanks, Charlie, and thanks for the opportunity to be up here with some great colleagues and friends and looking out at as many, if not more. This is definitely a team sport. So I get a chance to give a quick introduction to how we and I think about this broadly. I think as soon as we get into the discussion, you'll see, as it should be, that this is, there's actually lots of different angles and ways of thinking about components and circumstances. So I don't want to kill the sort of the fun of the specificity, but let me just take you through a couple of general points. So I think intellectually of empowerment zones as being at the center of some 3 different, and probably others too, things that are going on. One is zones. So this idea that maybe a set of schools and public school districts should have different rules goes back quite some time, certainly was part of, say, Rudy Cruz, Chancellor's District in New York, and probably earlier than that. If one does some archaeology, there are a lot of places in the country today that call themselves a zone. If you ask what that means, one set of schools have somewhat different rules. We think of empowerment zones, and I'm going to talk about as a little bit of a subset of that because we think that it matters what all the aspects of that are, but that's an idea out there. Another idea that goes back really even before charters to a movement really more from kind of school-based liberal kind of ideologies about where teachers should lead is really kind of school-based management. I think it was called site-based management at its prime. It kind of collided into and became in some parts the charter movement, in some parts went its own way. Whether you want to call it charters, whether you want to call it site-based management, the idea that people at schools should be running schools, I think the Chancellor here was talking about that at the end of his remarks. Again, empowerment zones, subset of that, not all of it. And then there's governance change. People have tried mayoral control, like here in Washington and lots of places. People have tried charters. It's a different form of governance. Obviously, there have been a lot of different ideas floated. But again, empowerment zones in my mind, in our mind, are about that as well. I think all of them, hopefully, are centered, in my view, on this philosophy that the goal is to not partially empower, but fully empower individual schools. That there should be school-level decision-making involving the educators in the building, the principal and the teachers, around these key levers that we've learned for lots of different ways, but most obviously from charters, allow for really interesting and different types of schools that can have interesting and different type of success.